for our class at foam rolling today. She has been studying countless hours here at home, came home in mid-March from college, and she finished up her last final exam yesterday. And we know prolonged sitting tends to cause a lot of muscular tension, decrease the ability of those muscles to glide and slide, and a lot of it has to do with the connective covering within our body called our fascia. And perhaps you've heard of myofascial release. One way we can do that is using our foam rollers. If you think of an orange and the outer covering of the orange peel, if you peel that away, there's that white connective covering. That's basically what we have over all of our internal organs, over our muscles, and it can become stiff and tight from prolonged sitting. So we're going to use our roller today to rehydrate those tissues, to establish some connections with those muscles. In addition, after we hydrate, after we mobilize, there'll be some stretches, and we also want to activate the muscles in order to maintain this new postural alignment that we're establishing. If Auburn were to be sitting at her computer studying, there's a good chance, like all of us, if you're working in the office or following social media for long periods of the day, we tend to develop a little bit of forward head, rounded shoulders, and rounded back. She's great about exercising, but if she were to get up from studying and come right in and start doing chest presses and pull-ups, chances are she's only reinforcing poor posture. So the best thing she can do is take 5 to 10 minutes, all of us, in order to open up our chest and shoulders, open up our hips, and then activate the muscles to strengthen in this newfound postural alignment. In addition to that, foam rolling has a very calming, centering effect, and that's because it affects the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the 10th cranial nerve. It innervates your lungs, your heart, as well as your gut. So if you've ever felt tense, anxious, uncomfortable, that has something to do with the tone of your vagus nerve. Deep tissue massage, an Epsom salts bath, laughter, socialization with people helps to tone the vagus nerve and makes us better able to tolerate stress and to recover from stress. So during this time of quarantine, where we know we might not have as much laughter, we might not have as much socialization, maybe we don't have as much mobility or exercise, which also is uplifting to the central nervous system, it's really important to find ways to develop that. So foam rolling is going to help us. In addition, just deep breathing improves the tone of your vagus nerve. And if you find that you're feeling rushed and hurried, perhaps you sit down for a meal, one of the best things you can do is take 3 to 5 deep, slow breaths before eating, and you're going to find your digestion is improved. Maybe you don't eat in such a hurry. You're more aware of behaviors and decisions and such. So, many benefits to both moving the connective tissue, tapping into what we call the parasympathetic nervous system. That's your rest and digest versus living in fight or flight. And we don't want to be there. Fight or flight is great if you need to get away from something in a hurry, but for most of our day, we want to be thoughtful. We want to have our energy composed and grounded so that we can move in ways that benefit ourselves and benefit others. So the first movement we're going to do today takes us into a sideline. We're going to put the roller at the front edge of the mat. I'm on my left side. If you're mirroring, you might be on your right. And once you lie down, place your top leg, ankle to knee, on top of the roller. Your top arm is going to go across the roller as well, and your ear can just rest on your arm here. The movement is for the pelvis as well as the rib cage and the shoulder. We're gently rolling forward and rolling back. The good news about foam rolling, you really can't do it wrong. It's limited to your imagination. And here we're just first thing in the morning, creating that gentle rotation, which is going to improve your breathing ability, kind of open up the ribs, the intercostals. Now pause here in the front. So I've rolled my hip forward. Take the top hand behind your head And gently start to draw your chest away from the roller. It probably won't go far, that's fine. As you come in, let your elbow move to the roller. So like your elbow's friends with the roller, and then your elbow decides I want to move away from the roller. So we create this disassociation, that's it, Auburn, of rolling in and rolling back. So you get extension of your thoracic spine, and then this gentle forward rotation of the pelvis, and never forcing anything. Just breathing, slowly becoming aware of those movements. Good. Nice. And then the third one, after you've mobilized and created the rib cage moving in one direction, the pelvis moving in the other, take your top leg off and put it over both legs now parallel. Top arm's going to stay on your roller here. As you roll forward, make an X shape with your legs. So one leg moves forward, one leg moves back. Perhaps we inhale as we reach forward, and exhale as you return the legs. Do that a couple more times, and reach forward, and return. One more time, and let's just pause in that long reaching. So there's an aspect of massaging the tissue, then there's an aspect of connecting, of stretching the tissue, and then we add the activation and the strengthening around those tissues. Great. Bring it back up. So, part two, now we're going to activate the muscles of the waistband and rib cage. Yeah. So, place your roller near your ribs. It becomes more of a tool of awareness. You're propped with your elbow under your shoulder. And then start to glide. I have my top hand just resting on my rib cage, and I'm gliding my rib cage towards the ceiling, and then allowing it to translate towards the roller. Yeah, exactly. Inhale, lift, and exhale, return. Inhale, lift, and exhale, return. If we wanted to add to this, we lift the rib cage, hand can come behind your head. Here's an option, press your head into your hand, and then lift your hips. Lower your hips, lower your rib cage. Lift your rib cage, lift your hips, lower your hips, lower the rib cage. Good, one more time. Lift the ribs, lift the hips, hold here, and then you can take a little clamshell here to work outer glute, right? Glute medius here, which is important for lateral movement. Keep pressing the head back into the hands. Feel your waistband picking up, so you have a strong position here. And then pause. Second option, you could extend that top leg. Flex your heel, lift it up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then rest it all back down. Awesome. Come up to a side sit position. So you could be a little kind of a mermaid shape here, a little S shape of the legs. We'll go, yes, yep, hand, and then you roll out, rib cage moves, and draw yourself back in. Continue that a few times. Draw away, side bodies, and you don't want to feel like you're putting a lot of weight into the shoulders. The movement is really lifted through the core. Pause there. Can you bring the top arm over? Take a nice arc. Return. Pick yourself up. One more time. This time we'll do a little rotation. We side glide and then rotate towards the roller. Let's do that one more time. Open up. Good. Rotate towards. And open up. And then bring yourself back up. Nice. Bring your feet together. We're making our way to the second side. Not quite there yet. Easy seated position. Hands on the roller. Sit up as tall as you can. And just start to gently allow those hips to roll forward. Don't necessarily try to round your back here, right? We could collapse and sag. Actually looking for movement of the pelvis. A little bit of lengthening through the spine. Bring it back up. Let's just do that one more time. Inhale, lift as tall as you can, sit as tall as you can. Exhale, draw forward. Feel the belly pull back. Feel the ribs pull back. Can you relax your shoulders a little bit here? Great. And then bring it back in. All right, so starting 101 again. Oops, we'll keep it out in front. We go to our opposite side. Top hip and knee placed on the roller. Top arm extended. Ear resting. Good. Yeah. And then Auburn's going to begin just gently rolling out. There goes her pelvis, her ribs, and her shoulder. Beautiful. And gently drawing it back in. Inhale. Taking your time. Everybody's going to look different. Everyone's going to experience it a little differently. It's awakening the intrinsics. Not the muscles you see on your outer body, but those deep stabilizing muscles that benefit from a little awakening. Good. And then she's going to hold the out. Top hand can come back behind her head. Very gentle opening of the chest to initiate, and then moving into that reciprocal movement of the roller pulling in. Elbow comes down. Beautiful. She's getting that nice rotation through the rib cage. We know the rib cage tends to get stiff and tight with a lot of sitting. It needs to mobilize so that you can expand your lungs and take a generous deep breath. So this is going to help loosen up that restricted area that might be compromising a good deep breath. Good. So after you do that 4 or 5 times, she's going to then take both legs long, and just her top hand moves up on the roller. If you need to glide the roller up a little higher, you can. Yep. Good. She presses out, top leg moves back, maybe the front leg even moves forward a little bit, and then you draw them back together. So they separate. Awesome. And they draw back together. Good. 2 more times here. Be in the breath. Remember that vagus tone, and it's not like Las Vegas, it's V-A-G-U-S, the vagus nerve has vagal tone that we develop through slow, deep breathing as one method of working. Good, and there's that nice extension, and then bringing it back home. Now we activate the muscles. So propping up with that roller, elbow under shoulder, and roller giving us some feedback at that rib cage. Initially, just gliding the rib cage up, and then letting it tap back down. Gliding up and away, and tapping down. Good. A couple of times here. Now, our class today will probably be about 45 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes to address some of your issues, wherever those restrictions might be before you start exercising or strength training is fine. We're just giving you some tools for your toolbox today. After you lift the ribs away and you've got those hips and knees stacked, here we go again, using those glutes, using the hips to lift into the bridge. And then lower yourself back down. Start from the center, center picks up, hips pick up, hips drop down, center drops down. Yes, good. One more time, we'll lift, hold that shape, and here we go, that little clamshell to work outer glute again. Can you draw the belly in? Feel lifted in the waistband, like a string is picking you up towards the ceiling. Hand can be behind your head here. Sometimes the head and neck just feels heavy. If you give a little press of the head into the hand, will help your alignment. Good, let's add that second level of extending the top leg. Reach it long, lift the waistband, pulse the leg up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest it back down. Great job. All right, from there, come back to sitting. Take the roller out in front. Now this might be hard to remember, but typically we sit cross-legged with our same dominant leg in front. I always go with my right leg in front. Switch it. Opposite leg in front this time. Might feel a little awkward. Inhale, sit tall. Exhale, roll it out. As you roll out, feel your sitting bones still reaching back a bit, so we haven't come off of our hips. And then bring it back in. Let's go lateral a bit, so roll out towards one edge. Still keep your sitting bones out, or back rather. We'll do it one more time with this diagonal. Reaching out, feeling like one arm gets a little further away than the opposite. Nice lateral release through the outer fascial line. And then to the opposite side, same idea, rolling out. Now I feel from pinky edge to my shoulder, down the whole side to my hip. And bring it up one more time. And still work a straight spine as much as possible. There's probably going to be some flexion, but start by reaching out from the pelvis, and then it gradually works its way into that whole spine lengthening. And bring it back up. Great. All right, so moving to 4-point. I'll face you, Auburn. If kneeling is uncomfortable for you, if you've got kind of a thin yoga mat, by all means, double it up. Forearms on your roller. A lot of fascia from your elbow to the wrist. If you sit at the keyboard a long time, you're going to find these muscles start to freeze up. We can massage them a bit. As you roll forward, turn your thumbs down. That's pronation. As you roll back, turn the palms up. By all means, replace the hands. They might drift out a bit. I'm primarily working more shoulder width, but it's fine to make those adjustments. So down, thumbs down, and then palms up. Start to collect the abdominals and ribs in, and then see if you can extend one leg behind you. So a little bit more challenging, a little bit more brain to body, proprioception, that mind to body connection as we roll out and as we draw in. The other thing this does is start to awaken some of the muscles around your shoulder blade. Shoulder blades get really stiff as well. Good, try the opposite leg. Still keep a sense of belly and ribs in. Yeah, it does get thumbs down as you go out, up as you come in. So the serratus anterior is an important muscle in the back of the shoulder blade, and this helps to just kind of stimulate it, just awaken it a little bit. Now, double challenge would be one leg back. I'm going to be still here. Opposite arm out. That may be enough. The other option you have is a little thumb down, palm up, a little rolling of that opposite arm. Yeah, it's tough. And then opposite side. But it's good to test yourself. Remember how we say it's not about perfection. It's the challenge that creates some change. And one side's always going to feel more available than the other. And then bring it. Great. Bring that back in. Now, while we're here in 4-point, great time to look at shoulder stabilization. You probably won't need the mat doubled up anymore. You're going to take your shins onto the roller. Yeah, so take your time there. We're lucky to have the mirror for a little feedback. I want to feel like you have your hands under your shoulders, your knees under the hips, and then draw this belly rib cage component in. Shoulder blade glides. You're going to crack a walnut with your shoulder blades. They drop together, and then drive the shoulder blades apart. And slide the shoulder blades together. You could bring your knees in a little closer to you, Auburn, or walk your hands back a little bit. Yeah, and then reach your tailbone out behind you. And knees don't have to be narrow. They could be a little bit further apart. That'll help you with your balance. That's it. And so now we're getting the gliding motion of the shoulder blades that become rather stuck from prolonged sitting, computer usage, long car rides, whatever it might be. 2 more here. Shoulder blades collapse. Good. And they extend and collapse. And press away from here, a little belly work. Inhale for nothing. And then exhale, draw the knees in towards your chest a couple inches. Yeah, inhale, press them away. Exhale, draw the knees in. You could work to keep your spine long. In Pilates, we call these knee stretches. You can do knee stretches with a flat back. You can also do knee stretches with more of a round curling back. Inhale. Exhale, lift belly, curl strong through your shoulder blades 2 more times. So this is the strengthening component of the shoulder blades that we just mobilized last time here. And then pull the roller in until your feet. Yes. So this is going to be a big foot stretch for some people. If you wear shoes a lot, your feet get rather tight. And you can adjust. So maybe I have the roller more towards the middle of my foot. I stay there for a few breaths. If that's feeling pretty good, then moving the roller more towards the tiptoes and sitting back. Again, big stretch to the dorsum top of the foot there. Good. All right. And then letting go of that. Moving on, our next segment, we're going to move to our back. So long ways on your roll. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to start rolling out the back before we rest on the back. So go ahead. This is going to be a lazy boy position. Put the roller under your shoulder blades. To keep on task here, I made a list of some of our favorite moves. So right around middle of the rib cage, chest zone, hands can go behind your head. And start by just gently lifting your backside, lift the bottom, and like you're rolling out cookie dough, your foam roller becomes a rolling pin. That's it. Your head is heavy in the hammock of your hands. Don't try to hold your neck up. Let it be on vacation here. Nice thing about this, you're still working the core. I can do a hamstring curl, pulling my heels into my backside, and then I can do a extension, knee extension, pressing away. We can angle. So if you side bend to one side, you have better access under your shoulder blade. So this is that nice deep pressure that helps to hydrate the tissues and release some of the muscular tightness that might exist. Now, if you have a particularly sensitive spot, generally you don't want to stay over that for a long time. Yep, Auburn's reminding us, make sure you switch side bends, because that's almost like poking at a bruise, just repetitively deep pressure into an area that's already sensitive. What is so nice about foam rolling is I can roll a different portion of connective tissue and feel results in some of those sensitive areas without directly putting pressure on them. Good. All right, so after you've rolled back and forth a bit, realign that kind of at the base of if you're wearing a heart monitor, bra, whatever, you're right at the base of that, because we're going to cover some zones here with some gentle joint oscillations. As you exhale, curl your upper body. So we're creating some upper body flexion. I want you to feel your belly gently draw in. You feel that? So it is some core work here. Now right now we're emphasizing the up and over. It's tempting to just want to do a back bend over the roller. I get that. We will get there eventually, but right now, these joint oscillations are making gentle movements of those vertebrae to release tension in your thoracic spine. And you might recall that thoracic spine, it curves. It tends to be, it can be kyphotic in nature, it can be hyperkyphotic in nature, ovally rounded. We want to create some movement through those vertebrae that allow that tension to release and maybe restore a little better alignment, better movement in both directions. After you do 6 or 8 pulses here, we're going to find a new region. So I move my hips down an inch, and now I'm up a new segment of my spine. Same idea, a little pulse. And you can make it a little bit more, intense effort and really feel your connection of your ribs to your abdominals. Abdominals connect to the rib cage, and the rib cage sinking towards the hip bones as well. Yeah, really emphasizing exhale, curl. Exhale, curl, little pulse. Exhale, curl. I also like to feel, and Auburn, you're doing good here, like we're not flaring the elbows out to the side. If you can bring your elbows slightly forward, it's going to help you connect into the core. So 8 or 10 little pulses there. Let's cover one more segment. So slide your hips down, right here again. Feel the energy through the side of the armpits, elbows reaching, a nice broad back. Exhale, 6. Exhale, 5. Here's 4. And 3, ribs down, 2, 1. Good, all right. So you get the idea. That was about 3 segments. Let the roller just roll away from you. We're gonna just rest our head on the mat. And rest the roller at your hips. Take a pause. The pause is important. It kind of tunes us into what has been the results of some of our efforts thus far. As you rest here on your back, maybe you feel a little bit more of a connection into the earth. Maybe you can access a little more expansion of your breath. Maybe you're just more aware of the inner workings of your body rather than just that outer superficial layer. With your hands on the roller, press into the roller and curl the head, curl the collarbones, curl the shoulders. Yeah, and you're just gently rolling it up that diagonal ramp of your thighs and lower yourself back down. Inhale here, exhale, shoulders relax, move from your center. Try not to pull yourself up from your shoulders and neck and lower back down. It's our core. It gets stronger by lifting the weight of the head and the neck, curling up. Good, and lower. Let's do one more time here. Inhale, exhale, curl up, little press into that roller, and then lower yourself back down. Good. Now hold the roller between both hands and allow your shoulders just to find a gentle range of motion back behind and return them towards your thighs. So tuning in, what's the range of motion of our shoulders this morning? How are they feeling? When you lift your arms overhead, can you maintain connection of your ribs gently into the earth? Or are your shoulders so tight that your back is starting to arch and bend? Okay. We're trying to restore soft tissue motion to your shoulder joints, but maintaining a pretty neutral alignment of our spine. Good. And then bring it back down. All right, part 3. Moving now onto our roller from tailbone to crown of head. So I'm going to walk Auburn through this a little bit. Yeah, take your time, Auburn, coming up to rest on your roller. I use the term rest lightly. Anytime you're resting on a 6-inch diameter surface, your core is working. Okay? You may not feel it working like you do a crunch. In my opinion, it's working better than a crunch because you're not repetitively bending the spine and you're getting that 360-degree stabilization of your core. So the first position for Auburn would be, let's turn her palms up. Now that's going to make it a little harder for her to balance. Maybe we don't realize how much we're using those fingertips, and once we remove that contact point. However, you'll notice there's a portion of her hand that doesn't even find its way to the mat, and that's a result of some tightness in the shoulder that over time, some of those rolling outs, gentle pronation, supination of the forearm, she might restore some mobility through those tight forearms and wrists. So it's a nice place for her to be right now. Sacrum tailbone is heavy. Lumbar spine, she's going to have just her natural lumbar curve there. I don't want you to try to push and diminish and press the low back into the roller. That's not normal alignment. You've got your lumbar curve. Everyone's might look a little bit different, but we honor it. A lot of weight bearing here through her shoulder blades. And then, of course, the connection of her skull into the roller. But I don't want you to feel like you're heavily pushing her head into the roller. That'll probably just give you a headache, and we don't want to do that. We want to reduce tension. All right, so from here, make a little snow angel up and start to open the arms out to the sides. If you're feeling like your balance is challenged, you can take your feet a little wider on the roller. Yeah, so a little wider base of support there may help her. And then she's just exploring, what's your range of motion here? Typically with these snow angels, keep the back of your knuckles and fingers on the ground as long as you possibly can, and then start to see, where is my end range? Where does that pec muscle start to really maybe extend, and pause there near the end range and take some nice deep breaths. Yeah, so it can be a little bit more challenging to take the deep breaths because your core is saying, wait a minute, I've got to practice balancing here. Your breathing musculature is saying, no, I want to go slow, deep, long breaths. So it's a little mind-body connection again, from the brain to the body. Cranial nerve 10 again, making connections throughout. Good. Now from that, that's a great position for you. Just pretend you're clapping your hands overhead. So elevate the arms and open them back out. See if you compare it with your breath. Inhale slowly. And exhale. Yeah, right. Do that a couple times. We can never underestimate the value of a generous deep breath. It changes the central nervous system. Okay? We'll be a lot less likely to be impulsive, to make poor decisions, to injure ourselves if we can tap into that deep, slow breath. Good. Last time here, Autumn. Bring the arms up overhead. Pause there, and I want you to feel with your hands just shoulder width apart, and you can stay right over your chest. She's going to do scapular protraction and retraction again, so a little reaching up, exactly, and a little drawing down. So I hope y'all are following along at home. We're really happy to be able to teach and share and practice with you. It's the togetherness that makes it so much fun for us, and I hope it's fun for you as well. And then pause. Yeah, so she's got this beautiful gliding happening there with her shoulder blades. Do it individually now, like you're picking apples. One arm reaches up, and you can let the opposite arm bend a little bit. Yeah, so you're just alternating the excursion of that shoulder blade. Good, nice, strong. She's doing a good job here. You're gonna wiggle a little bit side to side. Nice. And then rest the arms back down to the earth. Great. Let's think about the lower body here a little bit. So, if you need to narrow up your feet, you're just going to see what works for you here. Inhaling for nothing, what does it take for you to lift your right knee tabletop? And you can use your hands more if you need to turn them over. Exactly. Make those adjustments. Inhale, lower the leg. And then exhale, opposite leg lifts. So she's working a lot of low corset strength here. To not fall off the roller and to pick up the leg. That's basically the weight that we're using to strengthen our core. Good, Auburn. And then pause with that knee lifted. Here's the double whammy. Can you bring the opposite leg in to join it? So you sink through the belly. You may have to widen your arms for a little bit more balance there. Good. From there, inhale, draw the knee slightly towards your chest. And then exhale, move the leg slightly away from you. Good. Inhale, pull them into you. Yes, small movements here. We want to get out of the gross superficial, gross meaning big superficial layer of muscles, and get into those smaller ones with smaller stabilizing movements. Great. Now hold the knees there. We're going to an alternating toe touch. Can you gently let one foot lower and pick it up? Good. And lower. And maybe your foot doesn't even touch the ground. If you're taking your foot so far and you're feeling your ribs flare and your back arch, you've entered no man's land, okay? You're creating more strain than you are strength. So go back into a smaller position. Exactly. Less is definitely more when it comes to our foam rolling, to our Pilates. Good, yeah, exactly. Take a break there. Okay, so she's been on her roller for a while and she's not that familiar with using the roller, so I'm going to have her gently slither off the roller and just give herself a little rest on her back. You do the same at home. The experience is often like you're resting in a feather bed. Your body didn't realize how many small muscles were connecting in order to keep you on the roller, and now they can let go and you realize, oh yeah, I'm safe. The ground is supporting me, I can relax, and it registers that, oh yeah, I worked my core three-dimensionally, 360 degrees. Likewise, I was thinking this morning, I didn't sleep well last night, and I remembered I have a number of clients who tell me, I lay on my roller for 5 minutes before going to bed. And that's enough, again, to get us back in that parasympathetic resting position. Okay, there's a ton more we could do in that kind of horizontal position on the roller, but I want us to move on. So Autumn, we're going to take the roller under the feet now. A set of bridging. Okay, so bridging, firing up our hamstrings and our glutes. Good. Move your feet back and forth a few times, just like you're massaging your feet with the roller. Get familiar with that. And then we're going to adjust the roller so there's a bias, there's a feeling of having your heels a little closer to your bottom than away from it. But not so tight that your knees feel cramped. It's more of kind of that knee under foot relationship, or foot a little further away from the knee. That's going to help you keep the work in the glutes. Give yourself a small lift. So already you feel some priming, some charging up of the back of the legs, and then lower it down. Let's repeat that a few times. Like you're in a little hammock of the lower body. Small little lift and lower. Exhale, small lift, but let's make it a little higher. So you start to travel up the spine a little bit and lower back down. Your arms can be on the earth, the elbows could be bent, or you can even take your hands over your chest and clasp them. Let's move all the way up into a bridge shape. Opening the front of your hip, so you're using your glutes to extend the hip flexor bit, or you're extending your hip in order to stretch that psoas iliacus, the front of the hip here. And lower yourself, and I love this lowering part. This is like the spine being a bike chain. So that bike chain, every little portion of it can move independent one of the other. Let's pick it back up, lifting the low back, lifting the middle rib cage until you're weight bearing through the shoulder blades, but I don't feel a lot of weight in my neck, and I just feel my skull comfortably on the earth. Can you draw the roller, small little rolls back and forth? Yeah, little movement back and forth. Draw the belly in, lift the hips open. Keep emphasizing the glutes working to lift. 3 more here. For 3, supercharge the back body, your posterior, and then lower yourself back down. Doing good. One more time. Same idea. Start to curl yourself up. Find that bridge. Now, what would it be like? And you may need to narrow up your feet to lift one knee. Whoo! Hello, hamstrings. Bring that leg down. Opposite leg lift. Good. And bring it down. It can be bent or straight. One more time here. And lift. And down. And then roll yourself all the way back through. Good. Extend the roller out so it ends up underneath your kind of calf area. Not so much right at the Achilles, but a little bit meatier above it. Yeah, we're going to do a long plank here. I like to bend my elbows, kind of feel my shoulder blades gently drawing together, and then it's a reverse plank. So a long line plank, pull the toes to your shins, connect the center, and lower back down. Repeat that. Lift the bum, lift the backside, draw the ribs down, and lower down. One more time. This reminds us a bit of leg pull up in Pilates. You know, you could see what's it like. TRX also has some moves to alternate a leg lift, but you got to make sure you're supercharged and not hyperextended in the knees. Good. And then rest yourself back down. Nice job. Just move that roller back and forth a few times. Take the hands behind your head. Let's do one more little core segment here. So with the hands supporting the head, curl your upper body up. And then roll that roller in and press it away. Good. Let the head rest in the hands. Find that upper body kind of head, throat, collarbone, shoulders curling, ribs sinking. Now we could bring one knee tabletop and work the out and the in. It leads itself to a nice reciprocal motion. So you got to find the coordination of the opposite leg pulling in and reaching away. You got it. Still maintaining that upper body curl. Gravity wants to pull you back. Your job is to curl up. Now we can also add rotation to that free knee side. So as I pull my knee in, I'm rotating shoulder towards knee. Yeah. Let's go here for 4 and 3, 4, 2, reach long out of the hip, and 1. Now let's do one more hamstring. I know it sounded like we were done. I lied. Straight leg lift, straight leg lower. I tell you, yeah, it's the imagination. There's so many different ways you can move and strengthen. One more time. And rest it back down. Opposite leg. So put that foot down, bring your opposite knee tabletop. groove a movement pattern. So just the out and in. And you don't even have to lift the head and shoulders here. That's an option, but it's not a requirement. You're still working your core. Once I float out that upper body, I'm looking through the center line, and then I can add that reciprocal movement of knee in and out. Kind of a little bike movement here. Be in your breath. You don't have to move quickly. And then we add rotation to that free leg. Take your gaze with you, so really move your eyes to the right side of the sockets. Your gaze gets fixated on that computer screen. You need to free it up. After a few times there, coming back to the center, straight leg lift, straight leg lower. Hamstring lift and lower. Get two more, and lift and down and lift, return. Good, rest it down. Take your feet wide on the roller. Gently rotate hips and knees, side to side. Just windshield wipering. Taking a little break, checking back in before we move to our final segment. And that's going to be a series of releases, stretches for the hips. Now, in some respects, I probably could have done our stretch and release and then move to our bridges, but it's okay. We're going to lift the hips and then place the roller under, under your sacrum. So not so much your low back. We're not trying to over-exaggerate the lumbar curve, but rather it be the sacrum and the pelvis. And Auburn's got that nicely positioned there. So it's like a restorative bridge. She's pretty comfortable. And you just reminded me with that movement. Let's take a figure four. Cross your right ankle over the left thigh. Press your right hand gently onto that right thigh. And then still kind of navigate the opposite hip, staying in connection. So you can see she's a little tight. There's a little elevation of this hip. So work within that. Maybe she closes the knee up a little bit and restores connection. And over time, that will release. Let's do the same thing with the opposite side. So opposite ankle over the knee. Let's see how, and there's some similarities. So she's pretty balanced through both sides. She can do a hand to her left thigh if she wants to increase a little bit of traction there. This position, this diagonal shape, again, passively, just by resting here, opens up my tight hips if you've been sitting a long time. We'll uncross the figure four shape and move to a knee lift. I like to sandwich my roller with my hands so that it doesn't suddenly move out. That's just an option there. It's pretty secure. Keep thinking of softening ribs, softening belly, and then float one knee tabletop. Extend that leg. Yeah, just work into the hamstring. Bend and straighten a few times there. Bend and straighten. You could energize your standing foot, press it into the earth, so you create this counter energy, this opposition of energy. Now hold that leg straight. Just flex and point your foot. And then we'll take a kick here. Lower the leg down and lift it up. Lower, reach long out of your hip, create space, and lift it up. One more time, and lift. Replace that foot. Opposite leg. Extend and bend a few times. Check in with that hamstring. As the heel reaches up, your belly sinks down, and then hold that leg lifted. Flex and point your foot. Free up the ankle. Hopefully you'll be outside walking a lot today. Your calves, your ankles, your feet will be nice and loose. Your gait will be better. Your mobility will be better because you hydrated that fascia. From there, straight leg lower, straight leg lift, straight leg lower, and lift. Here's two, and one. Hold the lift. Can you bring both legs up? Let's go region. Keep the shoulders open. This is an exercise of stabilization of the upper torso while the lower half finds rotation. A nice little addition here is you rotate to one side, top leg extended out. Bend it in, move to the center, rotate opposite side, top leg extended out. Bend it in, return center. You could do double legs, rotate to one side, extend, bend, back center. Last time we rotate, extend, bend, find center, both legs straight. Here's a scissor. One leg down, opposite leg draws in. Pause there. Remember at the beginning of class, we did this on our side, making that X shape of the legs. And then reverse. Opposite leg reaches down. Use your core to pull that top leg in. And reach. And reach. One more time. And reach. And reach. Good. And then a psoas stretch. Whatever leg you have up high in the air, bend that knee. Hand could go to that shin, and the opposite leg is just going to passively stretch here, reducing some inherent tension that naturally exists. That's it, Auburn. Yeah, so you can make your left leg relaxed. Yeah, maybe it is relaxed, and that's fine. Some people it might touch the ground, others it's still going to be suspended, but you're not holding it up. You're letting gravity do its job to just stretch it out. And then we reverse, and again, make sure you feel secure on the roller. So opposite knee draws in, opposite leg reaches away. Maybe one hand can go on the shin, maybe both hands. Again, nice deep breaths. When we walk, we have to have hip extension. When we sit, we tend to lose that mobility of hip extension. This restores it. So this is a great exercise to do before you go on a hike, on a walk. Find that hip extension so that you don't stumble over your feet. It doesn't guarantee it, but it helps. And then bring both knees into the chest. We'll gently move the roller out from underneath us. Let's set it aside. Rock and roll yourself up to sitting. And we'll finish up here with a little bit of a child's pose. So moving yourself with, we can go feet together, knees apart here. Start to very gently sit your hips back as you roll that roller forward. Get a little bit more lift in your lumbar here. You can exaggerate a gentle curl of that lumbar. Now, be gentle with your shoulders. This can be a big stretch for shoulders. Maybe you go a little wider apart. Maybe you don't go quite so low. That's all about listening to your body. Walk your hands towards one side and find your diagonal. So I walk to my left. I want to try to reach my right fingers even further, as if they were in a race. They're going to win the race. And then walking to the opposite side, I'm going right. I want my left fingers to go long. Auburn's going left. She wants her right fingers to go long. Yeah, exactly. So from her, the stretch is gently from her armpit to this hip, gently pressing back. Long lateral line of fascial tissue, and then come back to your center. Very nice. Good. Well, that about sums it up. You're always welcome to break this down into small component parts. You don't have to do the whole class. We didn't even really roll out the thighs, the quads, the hips. That's another thing you do, just using it like a cookie rolling pin again. I hope you feel well. I hope you might have benefited from that. We're so grateful to be able to share this with you. If you have any questions, you know how to connect. Reach out via Facebook, email, and even on Instagram now. I made my first Instagram post. So have a wonderful day, a great weekend, and hope to see you soon. Thanks. Thanks, Auburn. Where do I turn it off?